Howdy again, everybody. This is Dr. Bryan Langlois. I'm the medical director at the Pet Pantry of Lancaster County. I'm also the current president of the Pennsylvania Veterinary Medical Association, and in just a few short days, we are going to be upon that wonderful day in late fall that everybody looks forward to every single year. No, I'm not talking about Black Friday. I am talking about Thanksgiving and that wonderful holiday where friends and family, furry and human alike, get together to enjoy some wonderful, yummy food. And we just want to make sure that your pets basically stay as safe as they possibly can during this wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And we're going to jump right in by starting to talk turkey. And a lot of people do kind of wonder, is it okay, is it not, to give my dog or cat turkey and, during the Thanksgiving holiday? Are there certain parts that I really shouldn't give or should give? And really the answer kind of depends on your individual pet. So you definitely want to talk to your vet, especially if your pet is on any kind of special diets for food indiscretion or maybe food allergies, things like that. But as a general rule, we usually can say that a little bit of well-cooked turkey that doesn't have any bones in it is okay. That's kind of mixed in with their food and stuff like that once. Not really usually going to cause too much of a problem as far as that stuff goes. What we do worry a little bit about is if they ingest undercooked meat, because that certainly can lead to potential issues such as salmonella, and also if they were to ingest large amounts of more of the fatty portions of the turkey or any of the other high-fat meats that you may be cooking and serving on Thanksgiving, as well as the turkey skin, which can have a very high fat content as well. Dogs don't necessarily have the ability to break down those fats very, very easily, and it can lead to a very kind of overactive process happening in their pancreas that can lead to an inflammation in their pancreas, which we call pancreatitis. Pancreatitis can be actually a life-threatening condition in dogs, and I have seen cases that have been hospitalized on very, very intense medication regimens to basically save the dog's life. So really, you don't want to have to go through that. You want to be enjoying your postprandial nap after Thanksgiving. You don't want to be spending it in an emergency clinic hoping that your dog is going to survive pancreatitis. So just kind of avoid the large amounts and the high-fat content meats and the turkey skin, and you should be all right. The other aspect of the turkey that we want to talk about is basically what's left after you're done carving it. So you don't want to leave what's left kind of out on the counter where your dog or cat can get to it, or even wrapped up in trash bags in an area where they might be able to get to it as well, because they're going to find it, they're going to dig it open, and they're going to consume a large amount of it because it tastes good. And then again, we worry about those pancreatitis issues. We worry about anything else that might be in the trash as well that they might consume with that can cause GI issues or even potential obstructions. So just kind of make sure you wrap that up and get that away from any place that your dog or cat could potentially get access to it. So that's what we're going to do as far as talking turkey. Next, we're going to talk more about all the other baking and fixins that go on for a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. And a lot of people will cook things that have raisins in them and things like that, or maybe have a nice fruit platter out that has some grapes in it. We still don't know the exact reason for this, but grapes and raisins can be incredibly toxic and can kill your dogs. Again, we don't know the mechanism behind it, and it's being researched, but sometimes as much as one grape or one raisin can set your dog into a life-threatening kidney failure episode. So you want to make sure that anything you have with raisins or grapes or stuff, you don't want your dog around it. You don't want to take the chance of your dog potentially getting access to it. So definitely make sure you are careful with the grapes and raisins with your dog, or especially if people are bringing their dogs over as part of the festivities, because your dog may be okay with it, but their other dogs may want to go looking and sniffing around. You want to make sure they don't have any access to this. Again, we've seen some really, really sad cases of kidney toxicity because of grapes and raisins, so you definitely want to avoid that. You really want to avoid all the nut groups as a common rule as well. Some of them can, again, be very high fat content, which can lead to the pancreatitis. Some can lead to some other issues, such as macadamia nuts. So really, just as a general rule, just make sure they don't get into the nuts at all. Another thing that we worry about is more on the baking side of things, and especially a lot of people like to make these wonderful breads and things that have bread products in them. And you want to make sure that your dog and cat, and especially the dogs, do not get into any, yeast dough. That's dough that really still has the active yeast going on in it, because if they can ingest that, all that stuff is still going to start working in their gut. And so two things can happen. One, obviously, yeast acting on certain sugars and things like that produces basically two things: alcohol and gas. And of course, with dogs, we do worry about them having a severe bloat episode with the gas. And we have actually seen cases of dogs getting severely intoxicated by ingesting yeast dough, because that alcohol that's produced is basically absorbed by their system. And so they're, for lack of a better term, basically producing their own moonshine and enjoying it at the same time. And again, you don't want to be spending your Thanksgiving evening or even the following morning on Black Friday when you should be out shopping and doing all that other crazy Black Friday stuff. You don't want to be spending it, at an emergency clinic worrying about your dog. So really, kind of keep all those things in mind. The final thing that we warn people about when it comes to baking and cooking is anything really kind of in the onion or garlic class. Onions, garlics, chives, things like that. We do worry about those types of things. Again, talk to your veterinarian about specific things that you may be looking to use, but we do worry about that for potential for some gastrointestinal upset, but we also worry about it. It can cause some blood cell issues, red blood cell issues, if ingested in a high enough quantity. So really just try to avoid that if you can. The final thing that we are going to talk about in regards to cooking involves kind of the dessert end of things. And always remember, chocolate, very toxic to dogs, especially in various quantities and types of chocolates that are used to make these wonderful desserts and things like that. If your dog has ingested some chocolate, you definitely want to make sure that when you call your vet, you know exactly what type of chocolate it was and roughly how much they ate. So a lot of times you can get that from the packaging. You can get it from the recipes, if somebody brought a chocolate treat over, because really that's going to tell us as veterinarians what we can and can't do, and really if your dog should be monitored or hospitalized, or just to be monitored at home type of thing. The other thing we worry about, and this is popping up more and more with baking and people that want these sugar-free sweeteners and things like that, is the compound known as xylitol. And this is a kind of a sugar substitute, a sweetener that is being used in more and more baking products and more just products that you can purchase at the supermarket or at bakeries. So you want to make sure that anything that you might be serving as far as the sweets go is xylitol free, or if it does have xylitol in it, you want to make sure there's no chance for your dog to get it. Xylitol in dogs can cause a fatal drop in their blood sugar levels. And again, this is something that's very sad to see. We do see it every year happen, and we really want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So those are, your main meal tips to keep your pets safe. The other quick thing I'm going to talk about at the end right now is just some general safety tips. And we talked a little bit about this when we talked about Halloween safety issues, but you have to remember, this can be a very stressful time for a pet that is prone to anxiety issues or is used to kind of being the only dog or cat in the house. And if other family members or friends are bringing their pets over, you may have an interaction, that doesn't go the best way. You may really ramp up their anxiety if a lot of new people are coming in. So you want to talk to your veterinarian about the options that are out there. Sometimes it's as simple as just doing what we call removing the dog or the cat from the situation. If it's going to be crazy, if you know that your animal doesn't cope well with those types of things, what you really want to do is just find a quiet room somewhere where they can go and they can stay the entire meal and evening and things like that. Give them some things to keep them occupied. You can talk to your veterinarian about some anti-anxiety medications potentially that you can give your pet, or some other things that you certainly can do to lessen the stress level of your pet. With a lot of people going in and out of doors, greeting, coming, going, remember that's a prime time for dogs or cats, especially ones that are a little more nervous or have a propensity for darting out the door to do it, and you're distracted by saying hello to friends and family. You may not even notice it happened until later on you're looking for the dog or cat and you can't find them. So again, just be very cognizant of those types of things. And finally, especially with families getting together, if there are younger children that a dog or cat is not used to normally being around, you definitely want to talk to those children's parents and let them know that the kid just can't run right up and try to pet the dog or cat. We really don't want anybody to get bit or scratched, so just kind of give them a little heads up. Or if you know that your dog or cat really is not going to tolerate that, you definitely want to, again, just try to remove them from the situation, at least in the initial beginning, until everybody's settled down and seated, and then maybe they can come back down and things will be a little bit better for them. So Everybody at the Pennsylvania Veterinary Medical Association, as well as the Pet Pantry of Lancaster County, hopes that you, yours, and your family, furry and human alike, have a most wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and that everybody stays safe and warm and protected, and that we do not see our veterinary emergency clinics filled with any more emergencies that we have to because you were proactive in protecting your pet this Thanksgiving. I'm Dr. Bryan Langlois of the Pet Pantry of Lancaster County, as well as the Pennsylvania Veterinary Medical Association. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.